Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to talk about the concept of reception in astrology based upon the aspect theory. And reception is one of the most key factors that enable us to identify a particular position or strength of a planet uh, based upon its relationship and influence that it has from the other planets, from the other planets as well. The reception is one of the most important concepts that was used in the medieval astrology by Islamic astrologers like Abu-Mashar and Masha-Allah. And it was not very extensively used in Hellenistic tradition, but I think various valence gives a little bit of knowledge to us about reception. But I don't remember the exact chapter, but I think it's there, like in various valence as well. So, a reception was largely popularized by William Lilly. William Lilly kind of used this as one of the most important horary techniques in his works, especially Christian astrology. So, reception was a very major concept ranging from medieval to late Renaissance tradition. In Indian astrology, we don't use reception as much because of the special aspect theory that we have. Um, yeah, I'm not going to get into the special aspect theory of Vedic astrology, but uh, we don't use it, and we kind of singularize aspects as benefic aspects and malefic aspects. But I think reception kind of gives a very good value addition in terms of how a benefic aspect can turn even more benefic or less benefic, and malefic aspect can turn more constructive and less malefic. So I think that's what we can take in as Vedic astrologers from other traditions of astrology like Hellenistic and medieval Persian traditions. So, what is a reception? Reception is basically an aspect that a planet forms with the actual ruler of that particular sign. So, for example, if Moon is placed in Pisces and Jupiter is placed in Scorpio, Moon forms a trine with Jupiter. So, there is a specific aspect relationship that is formed between Moon and Jupiter, and that kind of facilitates Moon as a more potent planet in Pisces. So if Jupiter is not making any aspect, let's say if Jupiter is placed in Libra and Moon is placed in Pisces, there is no specific major aspect that Jupiter and Moon are getting into, and that I don't mean to say that Moon is necessarily not very strong or not very potent in Pisces, but still the aspect or a specific relationship with the domicile lord Jupiter will kind of amplify or multiply Moon's strength, and it helps the cause when a person is running through a time period that is ruled by Moon or Jupiter, or if you are using sign-based time periods, maybe if Pisces is activated, the natives will find some a real turning point, or not necessarily a turning point, but very uh, beneficial period in terms of uh, like context of that particular native's life. So I have first let me just tell this, like I'm using only very the major aspects like square, opposition, trine, sextile, and of course conjunction is even more powerful. So I'm not getting into the minor aspects like quincunx and stuff, because I don't necessarily use it. It's not that I don't value, or it's not that I devalue those minor aspects. It is just that I don't use it in my practice, and I use more of the traditional aspect doctrine prescribed by the Hellenistic tradition of astrology. So I chose to kind of provide an example in terms of using reception and how reception played a major role in a person's chart. So I think it's the right time for me to share the screen. Okay, so this is the nativity of Mr. Rajinikanth, who is one of the most, who is probably the biggest superstar of Indian cinema, and he is still considered to be a demigod by so many people who are his fans, and he is kind of one of the greatest crowd pullers of Asian cinema. So we have the rising as Leo rising, but I don't think Leo rising is really uh, as important in this context. So let's get into the major thing that I'm going to talk about here. Of course, Leo rising is very important, and Sun's position is super important here. But still, I think I'll get into the actual reason why this I'm taking up this example. So, 10th house is the house of profession and natives fame, and fifth house is the house of entertainment. And this native is a king of entertainment, and entertainment is his profession because he's an actor. So, how does the 10th Lord Venus become powerful in the fifth house? Fifth house is the house of entertainment, 10th house is the house of profession. So, 10th house and fifth, the Lord of 10th house and the Lord of the fifth house become the planet of entertainment and the Lord of entertainment, respectively. So, Venus is the natural significator and the planet of entertainment, while Jupiter, as the fifth Lord, becomes the lord of entertainment to this particular nativity, because uh, Jupiter becomes the ruler of the fifth house, which is Sagittarius from Leo. So, and Venus, as the planet of entertainment, is placed in the house of entertainment, which is the fifth house itself, and Jupiter is placed in Aquarius, which is the seventh house. So, how does the relationship get formed between Venus and Jupiter? It's the sextile relationship that Venus is applying to Jupiter. Venus is a faster moving planet, and Jupiter is the slower moving planet. So, Venus is at early 4 degrees, and Jupiter is at early 8 degrees. So, Venus is applying to a sextile with Jupiter, and this kind of multiplied Venus's position in Sagittarius, because Jupiter, as the ruler of Sagittarius, receives Venus from a very powerful angular position, which is the seventh house, and uh, the sextile relationship that Venus forms with Jupiter is even more descriptive of how Venus becomes powerful because of the reception from Jupiter. So, this is the major thing that I want to talk about. It's the reception that Jupiter gives to Venus. So, the native kind of became very prominent in the film industry, even in the 70s itself, but it was in the early 80s when he rose to actual stardom, and he enjoyed the superstar and the demigod status amongst the people. So that kind of started when Jupiter's Mahadasha began at the year of, I mean, at the mid 1982. So from then on, he never had a turnaround to the other side, and he was kind of climbing up and up. His popularity and fame kind of kept increasing during the Jupiter's Mahadasha, and we can see that Jupiter receives Venus and Mercury as well. So these are one of the most pivotal and important periods in terms of the natives' rise to stardom. So here the sextile relationship between Venus and Jupiter is a major cause for for the beneficial functioning of both these planets. And let's not forget, both are naturally benefic planets. And this is a nocturnal chart where Sun is placed in the fourth house. I mean, Sun is placed below the horizon. I think above the horizon and below the horizon is even more better if you are using a wheel chart. But here, I'll just start by saying that this is a night chart, and Venus is the most beneficial planet, and Venus is placed in the fifth house as 10th lord, as planet of entertainment, is super powerful with the reception from Jupiter, as it is received by Jupiter in Sagittarius, uh, by forming a sextile aspect. And let's talk a little bit about Mercury as well. Mercury has already separated by far from the aspect with Jupiter, but still we see a degree. I mean, the sign-based sextile aspect between Mercury and Jupiter. So Mercury as the second lord and the 11th lord becomes very powerful, and it makes the native very very wealthy. And Mercury as the second and 11th lord, second and 11th house indicates income and gains respectively, and Mercury is placed in the fifth house, and fifth house is also an income, I mean money indicating house, or wealth indicating house. And Mercury is received by Jupiter again from an angular position, which kind of makes Mercury also very powerful. And finally, it's the Sun, which is placed in the fourth house. The Lord of the Ascendant is placed in the fourth house, and the ruler of the fourth house, that is the dispositor of Sun, is placed in an exalted position in Capricorn. Still, we have a far off degree based aspect, but still, we have a sign based reception where Mars receives Sun. Mars rules Scorpio, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and Mars receives Sun, and uh, the rising sign, the Lord of the rising sign, in an exalted, I mean, in a very strong position, received by an exalted dispositor Mars, is aspecting the 10th house directly, and this is super indicative of the stardom and the demigod status that the native enjoys amongst the masses. So we see that the second lord, 11th lord, 10th lord, third lord get super powerful just by reception, not necessarily by the positions in which they are placed. Of course, they are placed in a very, very good position, but still, their position and the strength, the positional strength is kind of amplified to a greater extent by the reception that they get from Mars and Jupiter. I mean, Sun from Mars and Venus and Mercury from Jupiter. So I hope this was a very uh, like clarifying and a very descriptive example when it comes to reception based upon the aspects. We have seen a lot about dispositors spoken about everywhere, but reception is not necessarily followed in Indian astrology. So I thought it's very valuable to deal with reception. So yeah, and I'll get back to you with another video, probably a series on receptions, one or two more videos to describe how reception works in other charts as well. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time.